quote, dumped on, unquote.
I'm excited for this. Head on down.
Yeah. Drake Sasser 3-0, off to a great start. This is not a deck, this Grixis Reanimator deck, that you see a ton of. There's an Eye of Ugin for Collins to start. There's a Thoughtseize. Collins has a Thought-Knot. Oh, he's got a lot of Thought-Knot Seers.
That's a hand.
Yes, that is. Wow. 3 Thought-Knot Seers, a Reality Smasher, a City of Traders, and a Chalice of the Void. Who's going to get dumped on now?
Yeah, this is a really strong hand for Mullen. I mean, he needs Clock plus Disruption here.
Yeah.
His deck doesn't have a ton of that, but Thought-Knot Seer is the best of the bunch.
No joke here.
Yes, interesting to see. Like, can Sasser's hand beat? You know, a lot of his hands are not going to be able to beat a discard spell.
So Sasser's going to take a long look at this one, but Collins is pretty well set up here with the Thought-Knot Seers. Going to take Chalice of the Void. He can poke a hole in that aspect of things and pass the turn back over to Collins. Collins will draw. Picked up another copy of Eye of Ugin. Not great in multiples, obviously. Here is Thought-Knot Seer. Trigger. Let's take a look at the grip. Oh, this is if he takes the World Gorger Dragon, the game is over.
Does he not have a way?
So he's got other ways, right? I think he's got Gristlebrand in the deck.
Yeah, but can he generate infinite mana is the question. He's only got the one World Gorger Dragon.
Collins is going to take a long look at Necromancy. I think we can take a look at Necromancy as well. That's a weird one. That's during your time. See, this is where you come in.
This is Visions, I believe.
Yeah, that's where you come into things. It's kind of funny because you would expect him to play. That's nice artwork. You would expect Drake to play more than one copy of World Gorger Dragon.
But it has to, for it to matter, it has to be exiled. And how frequently is that going to come up? Yeah. They Thoughtseize it. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So, it's a weird corner case.
Yeah. You may choose to play Necromancy as an instant. If you do, bury
it
at the end of turn.
As there was a lot of regenerating of enchantments at the time.
Yes.
Because that was important to call out.
Yes.
Sacrifice it.
And then it's just a reanimation effect, really.
Right. It's Animate Dead for an extra mana with the option to play at instant speed to just do it once. And without the -1/-0.
All right. Looks like Brainstorm is the selection. See, this is where you get a little bit of an edge here if you're Drake. Because your opponent probably doesn't know how your deck works. And if Collins just says, I'm taking your World Gorger Dragon, you can't do a lot of what your deck is meant to do, the game may end.
Yep.
That's a Scalding Tarn here for Sasser.
Interesting here, something I just noticed here. Drake Sasser playing with 3 copies of Desolate Lighthouse. It's a way to make it deterministic once you generate infinite mana, because you can be just lighthousing the whole time through your World Gorger Dragon loop, and just construct whatever hand you want to construct.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
This is a very innovative deck. I haven't seen this one before, and I follow Legacy quite a bit. It's just another copy of Thought-Knots here. Response. It'll be an Entune. Okay. Good draw step there for Drake. Did not have that. Now Gristlebrand's going to go into the graveyard. Okay.
So I'm guessing Mullen is going to feel compelled to remove the Necromancy from the hand. Sasser's going to continue to play World Gorger Dragon.
Sasser doing a really nice job of keeping up appearances, but also benefiting from the fact that Collins and probably most of Drake's opponents thus far this weekend do not know what his deck does. Oh. So you see the hand there, Force of Will, World Gorger Dragon, Necromancy, and Desolate Lighthouse.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like you've got to take the reanimation spell here.
The rest of the cards don't really do anything. And also, you know, Collins is at the benefit of having a pretty darn nice clock.
Yep.
He's got a second Thought-Knot Seer on the battlefield. We know he's got a Reality Smasher in hand. Can't cast it just yet, it looks like.
And you'd like to get, ideally, you would like to get Sasser low enough where he can't do something with the Gristlebrand the turn that it gets reanimated.
Oh, well, how about another Thought-Knot Seer? There goes the Force of Will. Well, now the only thing that gets interesting here is if you're Drake, you got to draw one of your reanimation spells.
Yep. And if he does, he's probably good to go, like, right now.
Got to draw Animate Dead or Necromancy.
his draw step was not actually that bad, it looks like. I believe he drew Baleful Strix.
I've seen worse draws.
It's not shabby for him to get a blocker out of it, and it's a little obnoxious for Mullen to have to attack, lose one of the Thought Knot Seers. Sasser gets to draw another card.
Well, I'll say this. If Collins finds a way to produce another mana, he plays Reality Smasher, the game ends.
Yeah, he's got 13 coming across.
He'll have 13 coming across. But we know that Collins drew another Eye of Ugin. We're pretty sure he doesn't have another mana just yet. So we'll have to see. There's Baleful Strix. Draw a card. Pass a turn back. Hope you're not dead if you are Drake Sasser. Well, City of Trader says you're probably dead.
Yeah, that should do it.
Mm-hmm. There's Reality Smasher. The power of the Eldrazi. 3 Thought Knot Seers. Not bad, Collins. Not bad at all.
Yeah, it is exactly lethal.
Yes, it is. Collins Mullen's going to win game number 1 here over Drake Sasser. As Eldrazi Post up a game here over Grixis Reanimator, and that means we turn our attention to the sideboard here. Sasser's innovative deck has not worked for him just yet, but we'll see what he can do with the 15 additional options, of which he has 2 Flusterstorms, 2 Kolaghan's Commands, 2 Surgical Extractions, and I got 9 one-ofs here in Pyroblast, Red Elemental Blast, Engineer Explosives, Toxic Deluge. Grave Titan is a different reanimation target, as is Massacre Worm. Grimlavamancer, I guess in theory you could reanimate, but not for this matchup, along with an Echoing Truth and a Liliana the Last Hope.
So a lot of his options are good against smaller threats, and the Eldrazi are fairly large. So not enamored with a lot of his anti-creature options. I think the Toxic Deluge is still good enough. I bring in the Grave Titan too. Grave Titan's just much better than the creatures that Collins plays with. Great blocker, more than acceptable reanimation target.
For Collins, 3 Sorcerer Spyglass, 2 Ratchet Bomb, 2 Warping Wail, 2 Dismember, 2 Fairy Macabre, a Karn Sign of Urza, a Ravenous Trap. A Meteor Golem is awesome.
I do not know what that is.
It's from Core Set 2019. And then Merkle, the problem is the Meteor Golem is 7 mana, 3/3, enters the battlefield, destroy permanent.
Just an anti-ensnaring bridge thing or whatever?
An anti-anything. It kills anything.
Sure. If you're paying 7, it feels like there's got to be... does he play with... He's not playing with Sanctum, is he?
No.
It just has a Meteor Golem?
That's what it is.
Okay. I guess the Warping Whales. Yeah.
Fairy Macabre.
Yeah, Fairy Macabre.
Fairy Macabre,
Yeah,
yeah.
Fairy Macabre. Ravenous Trap, whatever. Yeah.
Maybe some number of Sorcerer Spyglass to shut off Bristlebrand, even though that's not really what this is about.
No, because Sasser can win the game with 7/7 Flying Lifelink. He doesn't need to actually combo out with that card to win.
All right. This will be interesting. I kind of want the Meteor Golem to come in. This should be some fun here, as Sasser's going to be on the play. Let's talk about the Season 2 schedule here on the SCG Tour, folks, where we're through most of these dates here. We went to Atlanta, Worcester, Philly, Indy. Dallas was a lot of fun. Baltimore our first time around. Syracuse last weekend. Now we're back in Baltimore. And we go to page 2, where release weekend in Columbus.
And after that, Philadelphia canceled.
It's sad.
It is.
The venue had a flood.
Okay.
Like
I had some really good Philly jokes lined up.
The venue's in a basement, as we did the last show there.
Yeah.
And it flooded.
Okay.
After a bad rainstorm. And they haven't fixed it yet.
Anywho,
Yep.
Dallas will be there. Charlotte, Modern, and then regional championships in November 10th. Be Modern. You can head over to go.starcgames.com/regionals as we get a little bit closer to that event. Team Open in Las Vegas. Then back here for Modern, and then we close out the year. Season 2 Invitational at the Berglund Center, December 7th through 9th, with Modern and Standard as the invitational formats.
We got playmats for all of our Standard Open and Classic players. It's Siege Gang Commander. Perhaps that one will see some more play now, given the rotation. And Guilds of Ravnica coming, along with some more Goblins like Legion Warboss. For our Modern players, we have the very powerful Llanowar Elves. And for our Legacy players, it'll be Wizards Lightning. All of these playmats free and exclusive with entry into any 2018 Season 2 Open, Classic, or Infinite Challenge package. Let's get ready for game number 2, shall we? As we learn a little bit more about Collins Mullen, 23-year-old from Durham, North Carolina, with 6 open top 8s. He's got that win that we'll never forget, the domination with humans in Modern, where he did not lose a single match and put Modern's best deck on the map. One of the easiest tournament wins I've ever seen in my many years of covering Magic. He's also got an invitational top 8. He's known for carrying around a jug of water at events, got to stay hydrated, enjoys rock climbing and bouldering, and he's the co-host of a popular podcast, the MTG Grindcast. That's Collins Mullen, member of Team Lotus Box, and currently up a game with his innovative take on Eldrazi here in Legacy. And one thing he's always doing, he's always innovating.
Is bouldering like rock climbing, but the rocks are bigger?
My default answer right now is yes.
Like, it sounds like climbing boulders is rock climbing.
Well, I have to imagine there's
got to be something, if you would call them out as two separate activities.
Yes.
Right.
Well, or apparently boulders use less restraints and is more free climbing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You know what I would never do?
Bouldering.
Bouldering.
Yep.
Or rock climbing. Just not interested. That's all. But I can never think of the name where, like, you wear a harness and you carabiner into lines and it's like an obstacle course that you do in the air.
You're thinking of American Gladiator.
That. I'd like to do that.
Yeah, that show doesn't exist anymore.
But it should, because it's an American classic.
Of course it should.
Just a great show.
The last great television show.
Laser.
Yeah.
That guy was unbeatable. Titan.
Right.
The names of everyone were great. Ice.
Yeah. Yeah, do you just watch this, these, like, roided out athletes just take a semi-automatic tennis gun to your local high school gym teacher. I watched that for hours. Hours. This is my favorite show.
Do you know what that course was called, that game? Do you remember the name of it?
I don't recall.
Assault.
Assault.
It was called Assault.
It would not fly in 2018.
No, of course not.
It's a name that is no longer acceptable to call something.
Force of Will, exiling Baleful Strix is going to take care of a turn 1 Trinisphere.
And Mullen is really jammed up now because his Grim Monolith doesn't untap, and to play a land he has to lose the City of Traders.
Yes.
So
yes.
He had a lot of eggs in that basket.
You know what was great about Assault? I really wanted to play it so much. It looks so fun.
Do you remember Pros versus Joes?
I didn't watch it, really.
My high school gym teacher, former high school teacher, was moved to tears by his poor performance and the mean-spiritedness of Bill Romanowski, or whatever that old linebacker was.
No, Bill Romanowski for the Broncos. He was a maniac.
He hit him late, like after the I love those shows.
Of course you do.
I love them.
Of course you do. Of course, you're just watching people get obliterated on camera.
Like, where the hook of the show is, there's a huge gap in skill between these two people, and the competition is violent. Yeah. It's like, yes.
What would if you were an American Gladiator, what would your gladiator name be?
Oh, I
want you to think about that for a little bit.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that.
Yeah. A lot of good burn names available for you.
That's true.
So, just something to think about. I'm sure Twitter has some nice
Johnny Walker.
It's got to be one name. It's got to be one word.
Oh, okay.
It's got to be one word. Come on.
I'll think about it some.
Good.
It's a great show.
It is a great show. Joust.
Oh, yeah, the joust is good.
On the podiums, you just have no shot to win. Anytime a gladiator won, they let you win. Here's a Glimmer Post. That's going to gain Collins a life. City of Traders floated 2 mana. What do we got now? Matter Reshaper. Well, it's not.
It's a lot of work for that. Dude, why are you playing with Grim Monolith? You just can't. You don't need to work that hard to cast that thing.
We see how you feel about Matter Reshaper.
No, I'm not. I'm not a big Matter Reshaper guy. But even saying that aside, it's along with the City of Traders and Grim Monolith. I need this thing on turn 1.
In for 3. There's a block. I'm a little surprised by the block.
Yeah, me too.
Free land? Why?
Unless he needs to cycle a reanimation effect just to draw a card or something.
I suppose.
Yeah. I'm skeptical. We'll see.
Yeah. Just letting Collins rebuild here when he was in some trouble. Let's see what comes next here for Collins.
It's got a number of Eldrazi in hand, and it looks like Ravenous Trap as well.
Someone has suggested Sizzle as your
Sizzle's not bad.
as your American Gladiator's name. I'm gonna have to do a search with Thesaurus in just a moment. What do we got here? I believe that's 2 copies of Fatal Push, a Necromancy, and a very bad land.
A bad lands.
Yes.
Still think about sometimes the thought still crosses my mind of Mr. Johnson crying, being eliminated from Pros versus Joes.
That show was short-lived, if memory serves.
Yeah. And Bill Romanowski, if you're watching, you were mean for no reason.
Yep.
You didn't need to be like that.
Yep. Fatal Push with Revolt. That's on my bingo board. Takes care of Thought Not Seer. A ding-a-ling. We'll go over those bingo boards at the beginning of round number 5. Drake's going to play a Scalding Tarn, pass the turn back. He's having some difficulty assembling the combo, as Collins will draw a card. It's an Ancient Tomb there from Mr. Mullen. Warping Whale in hand. Pass the turn back. Over to Drake. See what he can do. Play a Badlands, pass the turn back. Collins is going to pay 4 life to untap a Grim Monolith. Boy. I guess in this matchup, life doesn't matter that much.
It's not cheap.
It is not. You are not wrong.
That's why it's so important. That's why it's so important if you're going to play with a card like Grim Monolith to really try to spike with cards like Matter Reshaper.
Yeah, that's yes. Yes.
Because it takes a while to get back to be able to do the second thing.
That's correct.
So you got to knock someone out.
That's right. I think Matter Reshaper and Voice of Resurgence, they're both going to come after you one day.
Oh, yeah, yeah. All the 2, 3, 4 mana fake 2-for-1 creatures.
Yes.
Yeah. I dislike all of them.
Yeah, I trust me, I know. Collins will pass. Not a lot going on here for either player, so just a little bit of draw-go action for right now. Sasser will draw. Drake, the winner of our Legacy Open in Worcester earlier this year. Got it done with Grixis Delver while good old Deathbright Shaman was still legal. Here's a Brainstorm. Sasser will draw 3 cards. Needs a little bit of help. Wants to assemble some sort of combo here with being able to reanimate a large creature back onto the battlefield.
No, I'm hoping that the game ends with Sasser just beating Mullen to death with a World Gorge or Dragon, no combo.
No combo, no battlefield.
Just
a couple 7 balls.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's part of the range. I mean, he's made his lead drops. He's got more than enough lands to produce mana in the deck to be able to do something like that.
Yeah. And Drake doing a little fetching here. Probably going to find another source of red mana, one would have to imagine, to be able to unlock this aspect of things. Yep. Nope. It's going to be an Underground Sea. This is a Ponder for Sasser. So a little bit of manipulation here for Drake.
We picked up 3 lands there.
Yeah, quick shuffle. Says that's not what I was
Not
looking
on the
for.
cast World Gorge or Dragon plan for right now.
Yes. So we'll have a mystery card coming here for Drake. I'm curious what we see after this. If anything.
Yeah, there's got to be a question of how much you respect the possibility of Mullen being able to play back at you if you actually go for something.
Drake with a Scalding Tarn in hand, we know that. I guess it is kind of scary that Collins can activate the old the Eye of Ugin on the end step. It takes a lot of resources to do it. It takes 4 life.
It's
and
2.
the Grimlava move.
It's 2 in the monolith.
Yeah, 2 life actually. Excuse me. Well, we're gonna go active. And now for Collins, weighing the options here with the Eye of Ugin. What to find? What to find if you're Collins Mullen?
I wouldn't mind something that can just start clocking him here. If you're sitting on a Ravenous Trap, you have some protection against getting comboed out, then try to shorten the length of the game here a little bit.
Looks like the plan will be Endbringer. 6 mana Eldrazi to 5/5 that untaps at the beginning of each player's untap step. You can tap it to deal 1 to something. You can, of course, use a colorless mana and tap it. Target creature can't attack or block this turn, and then 2 colorless mana to draw a card. So it's a pretty good clock and does some other stuff there as Cloud Post is the draw. Here's 4 mana in combination with the Eye of Ugin. That means that's exactly how much Endbringer will cost. Cloud Post. Doesn't trigger the Glimmer Posts. Pass the turn back. So we're going to go back over to Drake Sasser, who now has some things to be concerned about. For Collins, the hand is a Ravenous Trap, as you mentioned, along with a Warping Whale and an Awless Dust. Here's a Dismember. And that'll take care of the Endbringer. So problem solved there for Sasser as we're going to head back his way. Number 16 on the SCG Tour leaderboard is Drake Sasser, a player that we're going to have to start to get a little bit more familiar with here because he's coming to these tournaments with 2 buys now. And with a 3-0 start with his deck, maybe putting a new legacy deck on the map that is the alternative to Rakdos Reanimator and the Dimir Reanimator builds that we see.
Yeah, something nice about this deck is that you completely avoid the combat step. There's nothing... You don't get locked out by something like Ensnaring Bridge or a couple of the other more common sideboard cards that people play against these sort of decks.
Looks like it'll be a Snapcaster Mage. So, Drake's going to figure out what cards to put back with the Brainstorm here. And there are 2. Now there's Scalding Tarn activation. Alright, still only on 2 red mana, so Hardcasting World Gorger Dragon now.
Not part of the plan.
Not part of the plan at all.
Could have gone deeper. Looks like he's not going to.
Yep. Another Brainstorm. 3 cards. Two will go back here momentarily. There's Delta as the land drop for the turn. And now Sasser will pass the turn back. So back over to Collins. Not a lot happening in this game, folks, unfortunately. We're looking for some fireworks from either player. As Collins will draw a card.
I mean, Mullen's in the spot where, he can hope that the Ravenous Trap is good enough and use Eye of Ugin to just spin up some threats to apply some pressure. It's a slow way to do it, though. It's kind of this whole turn to eye, and then you would like to get to a spot where you're eye boogening and playing the card in the same turn.
Yeah. That's the ideal scenario. No question. Now, Glimmer Post, of course, does tap for, Cloud Post taps for 3 mana right now, so we're starting to get to the point where some real things can happen, like what you mentioned.
And I think Mullen has drawn a Vesuva, so we could Vesuva the Cloud Post.
Mm-hmm. 2 Vesuvas in Collins' deck here this weekend. But again, just not a lot going on right now for either player. If you activate 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I mean, he does have the ability to search up Thought Knot Seer.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was doing the math here, and I think Thought Knot Seer is a good get.
For a player that's doing all this brainstorming and everything else, you might want to check out what's going on in the hand.
Yeah, especially since post-board he might be trying to, you're sitting on this Ravenous Trap, and that's kind of your insurance here, your security blanket.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes these decks go to things like Show and Tell post-board, knowing that their graveyard's not good. So,
all right, Collins, let's go. We got a lot going on. Drake's going to sacrifice this Pluto Delta. Down at 15, it looks like.
Also, isn't Sasser just a mana away from being able to cast Gristlebrand?
We're getting very close, yes.
So that's part of it, too.
Yep.
Part of the reason I think I would have tried to go for Thought Knot that turn.
Hardcast Gristlebrand isn't, that's not something we see much of, not even on the bingo board here.
No.
So. But hey, I'd like to see it.
I wouldn't mind.
And picked up a copy of Desolate Lighthouse, which isn't bad.
Celebrate Legacy for the range.
Of which it is wide. 2 mana. Another Snapcaster Mage. Looks like it might be a Ponder. That'll resolve. 2, 3. Consult the grip. Shuffle. Well, as explosive as Drake's Reanimator deck probably can be, we haven't seen it these first 2 games, that's for sure.
We've entered the phase where it's just time to Desolate Lighthouse just to Desolate Lighthouse.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go activating Eye, it looks like. That Cloud Post taps for 4. Glimmer Post taps for mana number 5. Ancient Tomb is 6 and 7. Collins will fall down to 9.
Yeah, I think he might have been short on Thought Knots here the last turn by 1. Because he's got... Oh, no, the Eye would discount it.
The Eye takes care of it.
The Eye discounts it, yeah.
I'm very interested, to see what Collins is going to get, because he's pulled a Walking Ballista close, thinking about it. So the Cloud Post tap for 4, so that's 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, so he can make a 7/7 Walking Ballista. There might be some appeal to that. Collins still thinking about what he would like to grab.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to get a Ballista large enough that Sasser could not get a Gristlebrand into play and immediately draw 7.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 is the magic number for that.
Collins taking a real long look. Still hasn't grabbed anything yet, so I'm curious. Because I don't think he grabbed anything.
Well, he's got to have the ambition to do something big here, I would imagine, because otherwise he would have, I mean, just take Thought Knots here the previous turn.
I'll just take a look at what's in the hand.
Right.
Yeah. Also has access to an Ulamog. Okay. Is it worth trying to just destroy lands here, or is it worth going after the hand? Ulamog's also a real clock. Reality Smasher is a clock. I don't know what you're supposed to do. He can get 2 Reality Smashers. He can get 1 this turn, 1 next turn, and potentially cast both.
Yeah. Ulamog's not the most disruptive thing here. I mean, what are you taking here? The Desolate Lighthouse?
Sure.
And a land? It's, you know.
Looks like Colin's going to go with Thought Knots here. Mullen's going to stay tapped. Everything else will untap. We'll head back over to Collins now. What looks to be a pretty difficult decision for him. He'll draw a card now. Didn't get a great look at it. But it looks like 2 mana will be floating. Thought Knots here is where he'll start things. So a lot of these in game 1, 3 to be exact. Now we're going to have a Hardcast Force of Will.
I think that's on your board.
I thought it was on yours. It's on mine. Ting! Follow up here for Collins. I think it'll be the search. There was 2 mana floating. So then 4, 5. Yep.
Yeah.
I think these should be good. Another Thought Knots here. Okay. Only has to take 2 to cast it, of course, because of Ayavugan.
I believe Sasser's last card was Baleful Strix. So Sasser on empty, but with a Lighthouse.
And now checking his sideboard. I don't know what Drake's supposed to do here. This is only getting worse. It'll take a heck of a couple of draw steps to be able to cobble together a win now, I think. Yeah, so there's Lighthouse activation. And draw discard. Okay, there goes another Lighthouse. Some sort of ponder effect. Brainstorm. Grave Titan among the cards. That's interesting.
Yeah, Grave Titan's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to. The thing here is, though, that he does have to answer the Ayavugan. Because even if he has something like Grave Titan, eventually Mullen can just keep Ulamogging him out.
Pick a thing.
Right.
Yeah. Legitimately pick a thing. It's better than what you're doing. Play another Lighthouse. Not a legendary land as Lighthouse, just merely a very good one. So we're going to head back over to Collins now. Collins will draw a copy of Reality Smasher. All right, now it's time to get to work if you're Collins. You've assembled enough mana to do your thing with Eye, and now you just want to kind of get this game closed out before anything weird happens.
Well, you still want to be mindful of the Ancient Tomb damage and getting, punked out by something random. You are at 7. But yeah, I think he's in a position now to kind of push his advantage a little bit here.
Well, there's the Dust Buster. All his dust will take care of Snapcaster Mages, which means that Thought Knot Seer and whatever other Eldrazi are around will be able to attack unimpeded. Sasser taking a look at Ayavugan, but yes, it works with all his dust too, and now here is Smasher.
Now you're looking at 2 turns with Warping Whales and a Ravenous Trap as backup.
You would think that Collins is probably in pretty good shape then.
Yeah. His position looks good.
Here's an attack for 9. Drake. Grave Titan. Trigger 2 zombies.
So now
weirdly, go ahead.
Now this is a spot where Mullen can dial up Ulamog. It's still not that bad.
Ballista.
Ballista too, yeah.
Tell you what, Walking Ballista is a heck of a card, man.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's showing up. I mean, the 2-mana lands and the artifact and colorless incentives in Legacy are strong enough to make that card good, and it's just another way to win the game when you've generated infinite mana.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, honestly. I think we're going to see Collins losing a little bit of life here, maybe. Let's see what he's going to do. Going to untap the Monolith. Draw a card, picked up a Chalice. I think Collins is working his way towards figuring out a way to victory here. Just got to figure out the best way to do it. And I think he's got enough to activate this and go get Ulamog. Ulamog, the Grave Titan, and the Zombie. And that would not be exactly lethal, but it would be close. It would be close.
Yeah.
If he uses that, he'll have a mana floating 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for a Ballista. So that wouldn't be lethal just yet either. And I don't think a Reality Smasher is lethal by itself.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it's hard to know exactly what you're playing around, but it's possible that Mullen could have cashed in the Warping Whales for Scions and finish out the game with that attack. But his position's pretty safe here. I don't know if he would have had enough mana to do everything because he spent his mana last turn on tapping the Monolith.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's Ulamog. And it looks like it's being prepared to be cast. 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because there's a mana floating. 9, 10 for Mayavugan. Kill a Grave Titan, kill a zombie token. And by kill, I mean exile. They're gone for good. See you later, Alligator. Here's an attack. The zombie token's going to have to jump in front of old Thought-Knot Seer. And that'll knock Sasser down to 1. Sasser's going to get another draw step here, and I think it'll be his last one here of the game and match. I can't imagine what he can find because his graveyard isn't even particularly good.
Yeah, I mean, he can. His best reanimation target in there, I believe, is Grave Titan, which is not good enough.
That's exiled. How about Snapcaster Mage? Well, here's something that he feels like he can draw. I don't know what it is. 6. All right. Well, the body language leads me to believe that there's a thing he can draw. But I legitimately don't know what it is. So I'm going to hang out here and see what it is. Brainstorm. All right, well, that's not a bad place to start. 3.
He can't shuffle his deck because it's at 1. And the Desolate Lighthouse doesn't give him any clean looks. He's got to put 2 back.
Mm-hmm. I guess he could shuffle his deck with Entomb.
And then you have no cards in hand.
Yeah, you don't get anywhere with that. Well, I don't know what it is. Also has to contend with Ravenous Trap.
We're not even talking about cards Mullen has.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking to
yep.
where Sasser is at right now in his turn.
Yep. Two mana. Is that an animate? That's an animate dead. Target a Snapcaster Mage. This is your nightmare. This is your nightmare. You know what he needs to do?
Redraw.
Yeah. Let's go again.
Look at any 3 cards, put them back in shuffle. Yeah,
That's correct.
I just don't even know what they are.
How about this?
Need cards that are not in my deck to suddenly appear.
Pick a card in Magic that he could play right now to win the game.
Hers is Rage.
Good answer. Good answer.
Hers is Rage is lethal.
I knew you'd find it. You always do.
He could almost kick that thing. Counts the combat math next turn. It's not good for you.
Yep. It's more than one. Oh my god. Oh my god.
He is just going off.
Yes, he is. Maybe this time we get Baleful Strix.
I guess it's a 0-1 if you animate Dead of Baleful Strix.
I didn't say it was good. I just said maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Draw a card.
Yeah, if you had to draw for 0 mana versus the 1. Keep in mind that Sasser is dead outside of combat next turn, too, because Mullen can go ahead and just eye up a ballista.
Fighting the good fight, as it were.
This is what we call sometimes playing with your food.
You call it playing with your food?
Sasser is playing with his food right now. I know you're not eating. You're just moving around the plate.
You're not going anywhere until you finish your plate.
Yeah. Fittingly, his shirt says spaghetti, one of the best foods to play with.
Yes, it is. Drake Sasser will concede the game. Finally. Finally, it is mercifully over. Excuse me. Collins Mullen going to win this match over Drake Sasser. 2-0. Eldrazi Post going to take care of